It's very hard to be in a successful relationship if the thing you want for someone else is that they meet your needs. Beautiful. Eric.
Okay. Well, first, what a pleasure and blessing to be in the circle here with you guys. So my inquiry, a little backstory, I've made so much progress in the last year and a half with both cannabis and process addictions. And there are simply things that I used to do that I no longer do. And I truly feel free. And I think this path of recovery and the yoga path has brought so much clarity, healing. The practices, they've quite literally changed my life. There's so much, I think there's a level of awareness now that it's hard, if not impossible, to look away. I think, Tommy, you've characterized it as you're fucked now. You can't look away. When you're disassociating.
Did I say that? I might have.
Yeah. You said it's too late, it's over. And it's true. And so as I can't look away, and I see, codependence still shows up. And my definition of that, that word gets tossed around a lot. It's me, it's getting my needs, getting love, attention, validation, peace of mind, heart through other. And that could be other processes, substances, people, and as a result, losing my true self, losing that authentic self that we're here trying to discover. So much healing has happened, but in a lot of ways, I'm so still in it. And now it shows up, in trying to discover healthy relationship. It shows up subtly with food and tech. But mostly it's a relationship piece. Losing myself to other manifested in chasing, fantasizing, imagining that perfect special someone to share life with. So with that awareness, right now I feel like I'm in this middle space trying to explore, okay, what does healthy look like? What does healthy act and feel like? How can I show up healthily for myself to then maybe to be there for someone else sometime? Because it's like I know I look inside and I'm not there. So it's it's this in the meantime. And I know we've talked so much about this. You've shed so much light. I'm the one I've been looking for. Presence is where peace of mind and heart exist. And I so get it intellectually, but I'm struggling. And I have this story. I need to go back to the ashram. So as to not be distracted by anything, just to go be with me, be present, to find that one. And while maybe that's part of the answer, I feel like there's other things I haven't quite tapped into, and another way to find that peace. And I'm finding it really challenging to simply sit still. So that's kind of the essence of my inquiry, is this in the meantime, in this middle space where it's not very settled, and what appropriate and inappropriate action is in that regard. So that I think that kind of sums up my question.
Beautiful, Eric. Thank you so much for being in the circle today and bringing this very powerful and relevant inquiry in here. I'll start simply by saying whenever anybody asks a question and exploration can take place, everybody benefits. Certainly some questions are more relevant than other questions, but anytime we're talking about relationships in any form, everybody is going to benefit from exploring this. So thank you. And thank you for your humility of expressing where you are and speaking so well about this in-between space. So the first thing that is interesting to explore is that space itself. What are we in between? We're in between levels of consciousness. We're in between who we once were, the way we once thought about things, and who we're about to be, and the way we're going to think about things. Maybe there'll be a moment where we finally arrive, and we arrive at that person we've always wanted to be. Now we're the person we've always wanted to be. And we're no longer in the in-between, between who we were and who we were going to become. In early recovery, I have a lot of experience with the in-between. The in-between, for me, between a person who thought about using drugs and who I was going to become, which was a person who no longer thought about that and no longer desired that in my life. And there was a very real and true in-between for me. Maybe that took from the beginning of my first effort ever to get sober and find recovery, when I first went to treatment, until I woke up one day realizing that I no longer thought about using drugs and alcohol for real, for real. I was free from it, literally free from it. That took about 2 years for me. From the first effort until I woke up. And that 2 years can be shorter for some people, or very, very much longer for other people. What makes the difference in shortening the in-between phase between, for me, in this analogy related to your inquiry, a person who was thinking about using drugs and alcohol and for whom that was normal, and a person who no longer thought about that and for whom that would be very abnormal to bring that into my day. What shortens that gap is recovery work. Work that leads us into a greater understanding of what the truth is. That's all recovery is. Recovery is the movement to truth. Addiction is living in all of the stories, all of the made up stuff. None of it's true. We just live there. We just decide to live there, you know? We live in this land where nothing's really true. And we spend some time there and we suffer because we're at a great distance from what's actually real. So we move on a recovery path. And that recovery path, very specifically, is one part self-inquiry, like what we're doing right here. We're actually looking at our life. If we don't look at our life, it's going to be very hard to learn the lessons that it has to offer us. When we're in addiction, we don't look. When we're on the path of recovery, like you are, so obviously, we look, we ask, we inquire, we examine, we do a little analysis. Here's what I'm experiencing right now, just like you expressed. You said, on one level, I'm free, and I know you are. On another level, I'm still in it. I'm still working. I know you are. I knew that before you said it. How did I know? Because you're a human being. Of course you're in it. When you're done being in it, you won't be a human being anymore. You'll be gone. You won't need to be here. So part of this effort as a human is to be in it. We're in the in-between. And being on the path of recovery, what we call in Recovery 2.0, the path of discovery, is one part this inquiry process, one part practices that expand our awareness and consciousness. So many people are going to hear that on this podcast and they're going to turn off the podcast. I've had enough. This is one of those woo-woo California. Boy, I bet he lives in California. I do live in California. But aside from that fact, I'm not kidding about this. There are practices, of course, that expand your awareness and your consciousness. What do I mean by that? It means that you become aware of more than you used to be aware of. You become conscious of more than you used to be conscious of. That's all I mean. And that's not that hard a concept for people to get. When I was using drugs, I thought about drugs all day. My consciousness was extremely limited. Walking down the path of recovery, my consciousness expanded and expanded and expanded because I was inquiring into my life experience, learning the lessons that life had to offer, and engaging in these practices that would help me to become more aware and more conscious of what was going on. For you to even be able to ask this question would require, in my opinion, tremendous awareness on your part. If you were not this aware, you couldn't ask this question, nor could you benefit from whatever would come as a response, because it would be in your subconscious mind. So this yoga and meditation and breath work and all this stuff, I scream from the rooftops and say, please, please, please do this work to everybody. Please, please. It's like, it's going to change the game. It's going to put you in a whole nother level because it's going to bring the dark to the light, dark into light. What do I mean by that? It will bring the stuff that is below your radar in your subconscious that drives your behavior and your reactions to life. It's going to bring it up to the surface so you can look at it, process it, purify yourself at the deepest level. This is detoxification, purification. So when you first stopped using cannabis, in the first couple days, maybe a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is, depending on how much cannabis you were using, or for anybody listening, whatever your drug of choice is, or whatever your addictive behavior of choice is, when you first stop, you have to go through a process of, naturally, detoxification. It happens to everybody. It's a natural process. When I gave up smoking pot, it really took me, the first detoxification, the physical piece, really took me almost 30 days to not feel sort of influenced by those chemicals in any way anymore. I wasn't, drowsy when I woke up in the morning. I wasn't sort of like, just all over the place. I started to get a little bit of grounding after about 30 days. That was the first level of detoxification. What we're talking about here, about bringing the subconscious up to the light of day so that you can begin to work on those deeper issues and the core issues that each of us has, that's a deeper form of detoxification. Maybe that's third, fourth, fifth, sixth, I don't know, seventh level of detoxification because you've been sober a little while now. You went through initially a period of emotional detoxification. So you had the physical, you have the mental detoxification, which is where the mind's just like, I've been under the influence mentally and in the brainwave state of cannabis or whatever the substance was. It takes a little while for that to clear. My emotions, for 10 years, I shifted my emotional state using cannabis. Doesn't it make sense to all of us that for a little while after I stopped, I would have to get my emotional footing again? That there would be a detoxification out of the emotional, energetic body? Of course it does. And it gets deeper and deeper, more and more subtle. We continue to go down the detoxification and the purification process, which is where you are in this very beautiful process. And you're asking a question that brings you to yet another level of depth and everybody else listening too. Okay, so we're in this purification process. This is about relating to self, relating to other. You could never get to this work if you were still smoking cannabis. You can see that. I see that you're nodding your head. Yes, you could never get to this. So we're lucky. Now we're in this fortunate position of like, okay, I get to actually do the work that I'm being asked to do. and I'm here for it, I'm present for it, I'm able to do it. Is it uncomfortable? Sometimes it's incredibly uncomfortable. Are there breakthroughs along the way? Definitely. Are there moments of release and moments of clarity where you're like, okay, this is really working. I feel lighter in my being today. Yes, of course you have those moments too. So this is a great place to be. In this particular in-between, which is a different in-between that you were in before you stopped smoking cannabis and becoming a person who no longer uses that in their life. Here we are in a different in-between. You referred to it as a process addiction. That means to me that it's a compulsion or an addiction, habit, set of behaviors that we're in process with in our life every day. Food, for example, we need to eat. So if we have, well, no matter who you are, you're in a relationship with food. Is that a healthy relationship? Each person has to ask that question of themselves. At least I recommend it, because there and down the food track, there's an unbelievable conversation to be had about detoxification and purification and setting up right relationship with food. And then you've got, of course, relationship with other, partnership, romantic relationship. Here we're getting into many, many important and complex human issues around needs, wants, relation, like how we relate to another human being. All of this, of course, goes back to how we relate with ourselves. And there's so much to be learned here in this inquiry. We're in this advanced purification process of examining relationship to other. Sometimes we call it codependency in the sense of I don't feel in harmony in the way that I'm relating to another, which is the same thing as saying I don't completely feel in harmony in the way that I'm relating to myself. So let's investigate this a little bit. Okay. Whenever I'm just going to talk about myself for a little while. If my family were here, they'd say, oh, you love to do that. You always love to do that. So my experience is that in my core relationship with another human being, which is with my wife, my partnership, which is a long-term 20 plus year partnership, when I have gone into what I refer to in myself as neediness, when I have become needy in the relationship, it gives me an opportunity to explore my needs. What do I need? What do I want? What's the difference? These are incredibly powerful inquiries when we're going to start to look at our relationships with another. So for example, let's say I feel like I need more time, more of my wife's attention. Just coming from my own perspective, I'm sure she has her version of this. We're not going to bring that here in the circle unless she decides to come on, which, by the way, is not going to happen. But let's say I needed more. I felt, oh, well, I need more of my wife's time. Is that true? What will happen if I don't have more of my wife's time? I guess I'm spending more time with me. Do I need my wife to see me more? Like see me, recognize me, praise me, validate me, comfort me, love me? Now I'm going to have to go down the definition of every one of those words. What is love? What is comfort? Do I need validation? Do I need her approval? Do I need to be seen? Your words were, I'm in a relationship, but I might still be in the tendency to be looking for just precisely that right person in the world somewhere. And then you answered your own inquiry there and you said, I know I'm the person I've been waiting for. So what I have done in my work is to say, can I meet the needs that I apparently want my wife to meet for me? And what would happen if I met those needs? Can I fulfill my needs unto myself? This brings up some very provocative and, painful ideas for certain people. We have all been trained to believe that we need someone else to complete us. We have entered relationship based on that training. And rare is the person who enters relationship from a whole place. It doesn't mean that we don't need love and that we're not social and that we don't love to connect with each other and want to be together and walk through a life together. It doesn't mean that we don't need comfort at times and can be there for each other and comfort each other. When it gets into neediness, however, on either side of the coin, an inquiry must arise. How did I get away from myself? When I get away from myself, that's when I need something. That's when I'm lonely. That's when I'm disempowered. Where is the truth? We said recovery is moving towards greater truth. It's here in the center of my chest. And when I get away from that, I start feeling like I need something. Many of us have been wounded in our childhoods and trained in the ways that I'm describing. The wound was having been abandoned, having felt like your needs were not met, and then growing up and trying to get those needs met in the way you wanted them to be met in your childhood, and heaping that expectation upon a partner. Unbelievably painful. What relationship could possibly withstand the burden of that? The burden of trying to make up for someone's lost childhood. It's different when people come together and they can stand alongside each other and see each other and share in love together. These are provocative ideas. They bring up a lot of questions. You are the person you've been waiting for. You are precisely the perfect person for you. And the realization of that is the goal of yoga. So this is a very, very advanced teaching. This is the goal. Don't wait till the end of your life to reach this goal. Do it now. Practice, 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 practice. You spoke about going to the ashram. I need to go to the ashram so I'm not tempted. I'm not drawn out of myself by these other energies, by these other ideas. It's not a bad idea to take moments in the ashram. Go to the ashram, spend a month there, spend 3 months there. You still will be with you, no matter what. And when you come out of that ashram, you still will be with you again. Now look, sometimes, like when we go to treatment, when we're stuck in drug addiction, we need to put some distance between us and the behavior, the tendency that we're used to. So I'm not saying the ashram is a bad idea. I'm saying that just like when people get out of treatment and struggle because they're not in that safe environment anymore, and all of a sudden the world with all of its temptations and all the challenges and stresses and the toxicity of this world, not to mention, is there waiting for you. It will be there again, and you will be tested. But again, you might choose the ashram for a little while. Maybe I'll come with you and we'll go and we'll see what comes of it. But when we get out, remember, it's still us. It's still us here. There's a few other perspectives that we should explore. One is, how about we give ourselves a break? Be a little less judgmental, a little less hard on ourselves, a little more understanding and accepting of our humanity. I'm in a loving and unbelievable relationship with my wife. I cannot tell you how lovely it is. And I experience lust and attraction to other women all the time. I do. Should I condemn myself for that? Should I give myself a hard time for that? Should I build a whole story around that? Or should I understand this is part of being a human, and this is definitely part of being me today? How about some compassion? How about some kindness? I work at trying to be a more conscious human being. I do. I work actively at it. And yet I find myself in relationship, good, I'm a Gemini. I find myself in relationship making mistakes all the time, going unconscious all the time. Truthfully, I forgive myself. I understand that I'm a work in progress. And I also understand that that is okay, as long as I'm in progress. I don't desire to be stagnant, and I don't desire to be stuck. None of us do. But I come upon my next in-between regularly. I'm in between again. In between what? The person I have been and the person I long to be. And I'm going down the path of recovery. And there may come a moment in this life where I'm struck awake like Buddha. And I'll let you know. Would I let you know? I don't know. I might let you know if that happens. I'm not sure yet. But I can assure you that that's not happened. I'm very much a human being in progress. And I suggest, it's not for me to say for you, but if you feel that way about yourself as well, then I highly recommend acceptance, self-love, self-forgiveness. My teacher's teacher said, I walk in a constant shower of self-forgiveness. A constant shower of self-forgiveness. And that's somebody who's pretty advanced. So if that person needs to constantly forgive themselves, I'm going to give myself the same permission. So this is just to say, as we're going through this, let's be kind to ourselves. Not too judgmental, not too hard on ourselves as we're learning. The work is to come home to ourself as an individual and to develop this connection with consciousness itself. To continue to do that work. You do not have to wait to be in a relationship you don't have to do that before you get into a relationship. You'll just have to do that one way or the other, single or not. It won't matter. You're still going to have to do the same work. Some people think, well, I'll avoid the hassle of relationship. Good luck. You'll be in the extraordinary complexity of being with yourself. It's the same work. There's just not somebody in front of you to reflect back. It's the same work. So that's the work. You do that work, the work of self. Continue with your practices. Continue to separate out what's a need, what's a want. And then in the relationship, as you've chosen to be in a relationship so far here, ask yourself, what can I bring to this person's life today? Rilke, the 20th century writer, Rainer Maria Rilke, he wrote, was it marriage? Something about partnership, right? Partnership is the work for which all other work is mere preparation. And that's a heavy statement. I want to say that. The work for which all other work is mere preparation. He wrote a book called On Love and Other Difficulties. That sums it up right there. And finally, he said, the highest form of partnership is the one in which each person appoints the other to be the guardian of their solitude. The guardian of one's solitude. Kia is the guardian of my solitude. Why? Because I've appointed her as such. I'm the guardian of her solitude. Why? Because she appointed me as such. What does that mean? That means she has a path. What I want for her is the fullest possible realization of her dreams, of her goals. I want the fullest possible realization for her in this life. Period. And that's the highest goal. I want that for her. And I know that she wants that for me. She's going to India for a month before I will see her. So she'll be in India. I won't see her for a month. And then I'll be in India and we'll connect up in a month, right? Now, I could say, my needs are not being met. You're leaving me for a month? What? How dare you? I laugh because of course my ego said that internally. Of course. You're leaving for a month? What? Where do I figure in your life? Wait. Me. My. My wants, my needs, my things, my... Then I calm down long enough to come back to my own center and to recognize, wow, what an incredible thing it is that I get to protect her path so she can go do that work that's so important to her. And guess what? I get to do the things that I could only do when I'm by myself. I'm going to write more of my book. I'm going to have more time to just focus on the things that are wanting to come out of my heart. It's like a win-win. But it's not a win-win if I'm coming from a wounded place. If I'm coming from a wounded place, it's going to sound a lot more like, wow, you're not the right person for me. You're not meeting my needs. Oh, this is not what I stepped up for. Wow, you're not the person that I think I married. And the mind and the stories, and it all starts to go. And as recently as this morning, she looked me in the eyes and said, I love you so. What is it that I think my needs are? What story have I built? I'm the guardian of her solitude. She's the guardian of mine. And we work to live in connection and harmony together through the challenges of our two egos and through the challenges of life. It's a choice. I love this choice for me. I get to make this choice for me. And I could choose anything else, but I don't. I choose this. And I have to deal with my ego, and I have to deal with the confusion sometimes, and I have to deal with what is a want and what is a need. Yes, there are legitimate wants in a relationship, needs in a relationship, sure. And those have to be communicated respectfully and with the right tone in the right way, and so that we can create a harmonious life together. And guess what? We're getting older. That brings up a whole nother set of questions and difficulties and things and changes between people. So as we explore this thing of codependency, this thing of the going through the process of being in relationship and the discomfort of being in the in-between space between who you were and where you feel you want to be. Let's remember that this is an ongoing, unfolding. This is the path of discovery. And you're in a great place. And you're asking all the right questions. And the discomfort is normal. And what if you became comfortable with the discomfort? And that discomfort all of a sudden transmuted itself into actual comfort. And the things and the worries and the needs that weren't met dropped away like a snake sheds its skin, like the stories that they are. And you step back into yourself and you were like, wait a minute, I have love right here. I have love right here. I have love all around me. I have love from this person. I can give love to this person. This is if you choose to be with this person because you want to be. If you legitimately don't want to be with someone, that's a different conversation. But I'm talking about somebody who wants to be in partnership with somebody, and we're talking about redefining a partnership in this very deep spiritual way. It's very hard to be in a successful relationship if the thing you want for someone else, the thing you want for someone else is that they meet your needs. There's a word for that. I'm not going to invoke that word, but we want to break out of that. We want to be in the place where I'm so excited about you living an amazing life. And you are so excited about me living an amazing life. And we've decided to do that alongside each other in this partnership. And no, it doesn't look like what I thought it was going to look like when I was 35 years old. It looks like what it unfolded to be here at 56. And I never could have written this script. And when we're 76, should we have the blessing to work out our challenges along the way and be together, God willing? And should we have the blessing of that time on this planet in these bodies? It will not look like what I thought it was going to look like today. It will have unfolded to some other place. I'm just interested to see where this goes. Maybe that's enough, and we can leave that there. The directive is to continue to work your program, to continue to be doing the recovery work, to continue to expand the mind, to elevate and expand consciousness, to see more tomorrow than you saw today, to engage in practices that bring ease and comfort into the mind and body, to be around people that love you so that you can be reminded of the love that exists inside of you all the time, and to be in these beautiful, beautiful communities and social situations, much like we are at Recovery 2.0 when we're on retreat together, and to live that way more and more, one day at a time, forever. These are the directives for people who have decided to step onto this path. So thank you, Eric, so much for your willingness to bring this to the circle today. And I'd love to hear any thoughts or feelings that have come up for you in this exploration.
Yeah, there are a few real clear come to Jesus statements you made in some way. Yeah, continuing the recovery work, meetings, sponsorship, sadhana. And I think that in-between space, even thinking there is a place of arrival, I think is the words you used, that's taking me out of presence, even thinking arrive later. So that's something to let go of a little bit, and higher levels of purification happening. Definitely, there's opportunity there that I haven't met yet. And realizing, you talked about shifting of emotional state. That's what cannabis did for 38 years. It shifted my emotional state, and now I'm just shifting my emotional state in other ways. And so noticing that, when is that going on? And looking at what's a need and what's a want. Because if I stop and ask myself, I can differentiate if I take the time between need and want. And the question, the love, the validation, can I meet those needs? That was probably the most powerful thing you said. Can I meet those needs? And honestly, I haven't had I don't know what the word is, bravery, motivation, maybe still stuck in patterns of addiction that have kept me from really finding out if I can meet those needs outside of other. That was the strongest thing. And knowing that I can say, no, I haven't done that yet. And that's my directive to be able to say that. Asking questions every day. Is this action and behavior in service to my recovery? Yes or no? And the answer is usually really clear and easy. I sometimes avoid looking at it, or I pretend, or I go with the no, even sometimes. So thank you, Tommy. As usual, this is continuing to bring light here. So thank you.
I love you so much, and I can't wait to see you again. I'm guessing this summer at some point.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful, Eric. Thank you so much, and sincerely thank you so much for your openness in bringing this to In the Circle today.